So I'm going to make a confession to y'all. I'm not the brightest light bulb in the package, and I never have been. I remember when I was young, I loved cars. I loved hot rods especially. I even went to night school at a technical school down in Carrollton, Georgia, and took auto mechanics because I wanted to learn something. And my dad was a mechanic, but he was busy, and I learned stuff from him, but I wanted to learn more. So anyway, because I loved hot rods, I started off building them young. In fact, I think one of my wives might have divorced me possibly because I didn't want to spend all my money on the things that she wanted. I wanted to spend all my money on hot rod cars. And she might hear me say this, and she might say, that ain't the reason I left you, Ricky, but we're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. But that's getting beside the point. So anyway, I'm so dumb about auto mechanics. When I was young, I didn't want the older guys to see what I was doing because I knew they'd tell me I wasn't doing it right, and I just didn't want to hear that. So I just continued to do it wrong for a long time. Now I'm saying all that as a preamble to what I'm about to say. When I put this engine in this car, I used a Chevrolet bell housing like this one, and I got it all lined up, and I stuck a bolt in there, and it went in, and it screwed in, and it seemed like it was pretty snug in there, like this. See how snug that is? But it's not really tight, but it's enough. It can screw in there. Well, actually, this is a Chevrolet head bolt, and it ain't the right size for that hole. This should have a 1/2-inch bolt in it like this one. Now this one fits in there, and it don't woggle around. It's snug. That's the correct bolt. Right? That's the correct bolt for that. But I stuck 4 of these in that one, and I drove it all over the place up in Maine. I brought it halfway to Georgia and had an incident in where one lonely farmer lives up in where do you live? New Jersey? Up in New Jersey? He lives up there, and I left this car with him, and he drove it all over the counties, all over the community. He drove it all over the place, him and his kids and everybody else. And then I brought it down here, and I've been to a bunch of car shows and everything else, and I've done all that with the wrong bolts in here. And the other day, me and Shamar, y'all have seen Shamar was a young feller that I was trying to get, I just trying to help him get started, maybe making videos. I gave him a camera. He shot some videos of a car show, and we went fishing together. We did some fun stuff like that, and made a few videos in the process. Anyway, we was out doing donuts up in yonder, and he was filming it, and this transmission came loose. And it came loose. It didn't fall out because the way this car is made, it can't fall out. The frame has a cross member that goes right underneath the bell housing, and of course it's got motor mounts up here, and then it's got another cross member back here that won't let the transmission fall down. And so even though it broke loose, it didn't go anywhere. It just sat there and woggled around, but I couldn't get it in first gear. So I went to trying to get the bolts back in there, and them Chevrolet head bolts wouldn't go. So I was thinking, well, I'm going to tap that out. Get me a tap and die, tap that out, and put these 1/2-inch bolts in there. Well, I went to tap it out, and I didn't need to tap it out. It fit perfectly. And I was like, I'm learning stuff as I go here. So right now, I've got 2 of these 1/2-inch bolts in the back where this engine connects up to the bell housing. I got one up there, over there, in that top corner, and that bottom corner. Now down here, I couldn't get a 1/2-inch bolt in that one, so I came up to the top, and I can't get my wrench on this head bolt. This head bolt right here, the back of this thing is shaped in such a way, you might notice there's a little thing sticking out. I can't get a socket onto that. So I've tried about every way, and even if I was to cut out this bar on the right of that bolt, it still wouldn't go in there because of that little knobby thing sticking out. So I've decided that maybe I ought to do is take this Chevrolet bolt and weld it onto the back of this. No, that's not the right one, but weld onto the back of that so I can get something on there to turn that. But as I'm looking at that, even if I did that, it's still going to hit this right here that sticks out behind that bolt. That's going to be a hard one to get around. Now they make bolts that have like holes in the back. They're like an Allen wrench, and that's probably what I need is a bolt of that thread with an Allen wrench hole cut in the back of it. See, I was thinking about taking that other Chevrolet head bolt and cutting the back end off of it and weld it to the back of this one. But even if I did that, see, that thing right there is still going to be in the way. Well, that's a puzzle. That's a puzzle right there. I'm going to have to think on this thing some more. Yes, indeed. I'll let you know how it turns out.